So what we're going to deal with now is sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't, but the nasty little bit of text that very briefly flickers in the top left-hand corner. And it's not a big deal, this, but I've seen it often enough for it to irritate me, so we'll deal with it in this particular lesson. And what we want to do is we want to get our loading component, and we want it to be the same as what we're doing when we're loading our application. There's always going to be a delay as our React application loads initially, and we want this output to be displayed regardless if it's our index.html page that's very briefly loading or if it's our React application that's loading. And what we want to do is, I'll just open up the index.html, because where we're seeing that text is in the div, because anything that's inside here gets replaced with our React application. So what we want to put inside here is our loading component. But we don't have access to JSX inside here, obviously, because this is an HTML page. And what we want to get is the semantic UI normal HTML code that we can just put inside there. So let's get that from our app.tsx file. And what I'll do is I'll just copy the output, the HTML output of our loading component when we're loading our app. So just to make sure that we see our component so we can go and get the HTML from it, I'm just going to set this to true so that our app is always loading. And I'm just going to inspect the page. And what we want to do is we want to get the contents of what's inside our div ID of root at this moment in time, but the HTML version of it. So I'm just going to copy this element into my clipboard and then head back to the index.html, and instead of reactivities inside here, I'm just going to paste in exactly as it is the contents of what was inside my clipboard. And this is just the normal semantic UI styling for what we see there. And let's just put the app back to what it was before so that we only show the loading indicator if we're loading our app. And I'll just go back to the page again, and what we should find is that we no longer ever see that nasty little bit of text, and we just see our app loading instead. So another very small change that doesn't make a great deal of difference, but it makes me feel better.